Is February 14, 2024. Another day, another mass shooting, another bombing, another, thousands and thousands crossing the border. Oh yeah, it's so fabulous to be living in the United States as a citizen. Isn't it? Isn't it? So, hello Linty London, Mike Loft, Andrew Cruz, Julie C., Donna Davidson, Phil Strange, Wonder Why, John Stuart Mill, you bought a home for $19,000 in North Dakota. Wow. Good on you. Laura Flarson, hello. Sherry and Marty, thank you very, very much, both of you. Denise Martinez. God, it's like my eyesight stops at the N. I apologize, Denise. D. Moore, Ray Clay, Seek and Ye Shall Find, James Brandenburg, Tracy, T. Lamb, thank you very much. Oracle 11, Rick Yorkin, Silent Walk. Hello, everybody. And Awakened Sleeper and Space Indian. Amber Eyes, Crystal Ingram, Super Dave, and Super Painting 62. And anyone that I have missed, I do apologize. The neighbor that I have, who's 82 years old, has just called, which is not like her. Not like her. So I'm going to play this fabulous video here. Mayorkas House impeached him.
Time in close to 150 years, a sitting cabinet secretary has been impeached by the House of Representatives. It was a close vote, 214 to 213, and it comes just 1 week after House Republicans failed to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas.
Adopted.
Tonight, just 1 week after House Republicans' failed attempt to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, round two. This time, they have the votes, accusing the Biden cabinet official of unlawfully allowing millions of migrants to cross the border, which Mayorkas denies.
What he's done is violated the statutes. He hadn't enforced the laws of the land.
All as there's a new showdown tonight over aid to Ukraine, after the Senate muscled through a massive bipartisan $95 billion spending package in the early morning hours, including $60 billion for Ukraine. President Biden demanding the House pass it immediately.
Failure to support Ukraine at this critical moment will never be forgotten.
Biden.
Oh! All right, everything's okay. I just called her and it was a mistake. She didn't mean to call me. She can't see the phone very well. All righty. So yeah, impeachment. It's not going to go anywhere. They need, how many votes? 67 votes in the Senate? It's not going anywhere. Hill drama. Oof. What is this? What? We've got drama? We have drama up the wazoo. In fact, this was drama in Kansas City, Missouri. I don't know. I don't think the parade, the Kansas City winning the Super Bowl, the parade had anything to do with it. But of course, it wouldn't be a day in America without some kind of mass shooting. Right? Right. You know, and as I was watching this, I thought, wouldn't it be great if all of these people wore a shirt that said, "I will not obey You just can't get people interested in what really matters to them, but you sure can get them interested in adult boys throwing around a football. And so apparently 18 people were shot, children were shot. You'll see them running. This is just when it happened, apparently. Police come running in. Everybody goes scattering. This is just really... it's just so American. All running away. Who knows where? I guess the shooter's not this way. Guess the shooter's somewhere down here. Who knows? But, you know, I learned of this in the market here when I was just standing online, and all of a sudden I heard somebody talking to the cashier. Did you hear what happened today? And I look at him and I'm like, oh, okay. And I was so not surprised when he said that there was a mass shooting at the Super Bowl parade. Well, it's what we live every day. Officials are now reporting that at least 18 people have been shot, including 11 children, downtown Kansas City, Missouri. And I don't like shorts. YouTube, can I have a choice where I want my videos to go? Because I cannot figure out how to edit titles or the description, and I had forgotten to put in what this was all about. Oh, right. Well, apparently in Austin, Texas, in a hospital, a car just ran right into the emergency room. 1 dead, 5 injured. The person who died was the driver of the vehicle that crashed. And a whole lot of people leaving those comments, you know, about how it's staged. You know, whether it's staged or not, frankly, if it's staged, that means you live in a more profoundly sick country. But the chaos, staged or not, we got it. We got it. It's almost like every event. People are running, scattering. Oh, the sounds of gunshots. Oh my God, a car. How about, you know, grandfather killed over a fender bender.
Deadly encounter happened after the victim accidentally backed into the suspect's car.
KTLA's Inland Empire reporter Shelby Nelson spoke to the victim's son and joins us now in San Bernardino with more. Shelby?
Sharon Court, this truly is heartbreaking. It was supposed to be just a simple trip to Walmart for John Mock, but instead he was involved in a fender bender that led to him and his life being taken way too soon. Now, we talked to his son earlier, who says this should have never happened over something so minuscule. He wasn't big on taking pictures. What he did love was his family, cars, and his boat. That's what you'll see in the few pictures of 59-year-old Jonathan Mock.
I got pictures of him falling asleep with his granddaughter there watching TV together and feeding her when she was an infant. He loved his granddaughter. He's so happy.
They'll serve as memories for Matthew Mock and his two brothers after their father was tragically killed in this Highland Walmart parking lot on Highland Avenue last Monday. John had come here to get some ingredients to make jerky. San Bernardino police say at around 8 p.m. he was driving down a lane while the suspect was backing out of her parking spot.
For whatever reason, the victim stopped and slowly backed his vehicle up, and that's when he had a collision with the suspect's vehicle.
Police say the impact was minor, resulting in a scratch or two. John then got out of his car to apologize. That's when they say 36-year-old Shantice Norton got out of her car and allegedly shot him in the face before driving off.
Okay. Well, good reason, right? Oof. So Kenosis, they asking, the cashier doesn't talk about the border though, right? No one's talking about the border. And last night, after the pounding of that music stopped, then I had the neighbor on the other side play his music, but I will say it wasn't that loud, but I just get really annoyed hearing anything coming from that guy because of he blasting his music an awful lot, the rap music, and what he did to his dogs. Okay, so then I don't hear anything from that neighbor, and then it literally sounded like a helicopter was going to land on this motorhome. It was so flippin' loud, and then it just is circling and circling. The migrants, the gotaways, go through the river bed, which is right here. The neighbor, my 82-year-old neighbor, said that she heard the helicopter, and when the helicopter, she knew that it wasn't any kind of medical, because when she heard the helicopter circling, it wasn't a medical. It was they looking for the gotaways, and her dog started barking, so she immediately just closed her door and locked it. Yeah, lovely, isn't it? Alrighty. Fire alert. Officials charged taxpayers for Legos Polar Express. Don't know what that is. Tickets? Okay. Corruption abounds.
First Alert 4 Investigates is asking tonight, where are the receipts? Chief Investigator Lauren Traeger was tipped about questionable spending of your tax dollars by St. Louis City leaders, some with big authority. We found documents detailing charges at fancy restaurants, the Lego store, even the Polar Express. Now St. Louis City Hall is flipping the script, trying to charge us money to get what you have the right to know.
From Star Wars spaceships to Disney castles, cool car garages, and don't get us started on Spider-Man. Lego prices pack a punch for parents. That's exactly why the Lego store caught our eye on a recent credit card statement paid for by St. Louis City taxpayers.
What is that?
In fact, there's quite a few eyebrow-raising purchases in the last year.
A bunch of Walmart and Sam's Club.
According to Benjamin Singer,
the Innsbruck Conference Center,
the CEO of Good Government Group, Show Me Integrity.
This is pretty hard to justify.
We asked him to review the monthly statements, a credit card assigned to various city departments, which racks up thousands of dollars of charges a month, even
a month? Wow. Oh, maybe I can get some government job. Then I'll be fine. And look at this. This woman should not be working with the public anywhere.
Hello. Do y'all have complaint forms that you can complain on an officer?
Who on who?
On an officer?
Which one?
Do I need to tell you which one?
Yes.
I do? So you guys don't have complaint forms?
No.
No? So what do I need to do if I need to file a complaint?
Is it on one of the deputies or is it on one of the city officers?
It's a sheriff officer.
Okay, hang on. I need your name, address, and phone number.
Is this the form?
We don't have a form. I need that information from you.
So you need
And
my...
then one of the deputies will speak with you.
So you need my information in order to file a
Yes.
complaint? So you don't need the officer's information, you need my information?
That is our policy.
Okay, can you tone it down just a little bit? Because you're yelling at me, but I'm not yelling at you. I'm just asking for information on how to file a complaint.
You know what? And the hand up in the air. Oh, God. I have known those Americans. Oof. Female student safety at risk. Brewer, Maine, high school. Public comment.
Sean McBriarty, Hamden. I run an organization called Maine Source of Truth, and I reported on this situation. The safety of Brewer High School female students is at risk. It would appear so far, Chair Forrest, you and your board have not taken any stance on your only employee, the Superintendent Palmer, and his apparent lack of action addressing these serious concerns. It would appear you'd rather let your civil servant write letters, completely evading the outcry from the hundreds of students, parents, and taxpayers, his bosses. I have to ask you, Chair Forrest, when did you as a chair stop caring about the safety of the Brewer High School female students and instead choose to allow folks to make threats about hate crimes, lawfare, and claims of settled law? I realize you don't normally dare to respond to public comments, but a few questions or comments for you. This is not well-settled law, as the letter has stated. A poorly worded, lawyer-generated letter. Maine's highest court ruled in Doe versus RSU 26 that only in the rare case of a medically diagnosed gender dysphoria would they allow a boy to enter a girl's room. Medically diagnosed gender dysphoria. That's the part the lawyers always leave out. It's a lie of omission. The case was in 2014, and as we know it now, affirming and enabling the mental, physical, sexual child abuse, family dysfunction, indoctrination, or peer pressure with so-called trans students doesn't help their long-term well-being. Because of course you never deal with the root cause of the problem. A similar case in Loudoun County, Virginia involves Scott Smith, whose 15-year-old daughter was sexually assaulted in a school bathroom, just like this school here. Smith is now suing the school under a federal Title IX violation for $30 million because the school failed to keep his child safe. They then failed in the mandatory reporting structure and process of that sexual assault allegation, and I will finish up. He's also on the verge of suing every school board member, the now fired superintendent, the sheriff's office, and the district attorney's office. So if I was you, Chair Forrest, I would advise concerned parents file police reports and file complaints with the Maine Human Rights Commission against this very Brewer School Department. Or any of you could make a motion tonight to put aside the gender policy, JB, transgender and gender expansive students, put it on hold until you can investigate.
You will be finishing, correct?
I will, absolutely.
Thank
yeah.
you.
So, my recommendation would be have a public work session actually work to resolve the issue and don't simply ignore it by writing letters that make no sense and don't even mention the issues at hand. Thank you.
I will put, this might be too long. Main source of truth. Too long. No, I got it. Good. Certainly for the Mainers, but anyone else, Main Source of Truth posts very good information about what's happening in Maine. But the schools, okay, did you see these people? When he's talking, they're looking down at, I guess, the head of, is this a school board? I guess it is. The president of the school board. The moment he started talking about this issue, and was, well, the girls are at risk, and kind of criticizing the board. They keep looking down at him. Shut him up. Shut him up. We can't have people up there criticizing us. Oh boy, do we need more people in this fight. Wow. And here, the National MS Society forces a 90-year-old volunteer to step down over pronoun usage. 90 years old, a volunteer.
And I helped him, of course, all the time. And when he passed away, which is 20 years ago, I decided to keep the group going because everyone wanted to continue it.
How many years were you involved with the MS Society?
About 60 years.
6D with the zero.
60. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
My husband, and then I took over, I kept it going, and when he passed away.
So your husband was running this organization to help and support MS patients, and you were a volunteer with the MS Society. You've been doing this for 60 years.
Yes.
And then you took over when your husband passed away. And then recently you had some kind of interaction with a representative from the MS Society where she asked you to use your pronouns. So when she first asked you that, I mean, what was your reaction? What was your response?
I was confused. I didn't know what it was, what it meant. And I'd seen it on a couple of letters that had come in after the person's name. They had the pronouns, but I didn't know what that meant. And so finally, when I was talking to her, I thought, I'll ask, what does it mean? And, let her tell me. And so she said that meant that they were all inclusive, which didn't make sense to me because it sounds like you're
labeling
for females and not males if you're just putting in she, her.
She said that she was just asking her what it meant to have a conversation. So as a 90-year-old who didn't know what it meant, she's not street savvy to find out what it meant.
Yeah.
And when she said that they were required to use it to be inclusive, and my mom was saying that we've always been, the MS Society as a whole and the Long Beach group has just always been inclusive.
A few days later, it was on a Friday at 4:58?
At 4:58, which we thought was odd, but anyway.
At the end of the day, end of the week, I got an email from her saying that they were sorry, but they had to ask me to step down as a volunteer for the MS Society.
And the reason being is that you're not inclusive enough.
The verbiage she said was that she didn't abide by their diversity, equity, and inclusion. So they have to ask her to step down, and she's can't be a part of the MS Society as a volunteer, which to me is ironic because they're saying they're being inclusive, but yet they're excluding a 90-year-old disabled woman who volunteers for over 60 years, and literally the sole purpose is to help the MS patients and find a cure. And
that's what we're there for.
Keep helping with volunteering as much as she can, which has literally been her whole life. That's literally all she does. So
yeah.
It sounds like diversity, equity, and inclusion actually means excluding those who will not fall in line and conform to whatever these radical gender ideologists want to install.
Exactly.
60 years. This woman has been volunteering, 90 years old, and they toss her away like she's nothing because she doesn't understand the inclusive, this must have broken her heart. And I'm sure the volunteer work, it's one of the reasons why she has lived as long as she has. But who cares, right? I can't I'm really having a problem with an awful lot of people who are so just about themselves, you know? They're just about themselves, and they don't care about anyone else. And this rigidity of their stance hurts an awful lot of people unnecessarily. All right, well, there's no reason for it. No reason for it. Well, let's get on to bigger and brighter things. Serious national security threat, Russian space nukes. No reason to panic, though. No reason to panic. Okay, thank you. I won't. House Intel chairman announces serious national security threat. Sources say it's related to Russia. But don't panic. House Intelligence Committee Chair Mike Turner has made information concerning a serious national security threat available to all members of Congress to review today. While Turner and the White House remained vague on what the threat entailed, two sources and a U.S. official tell CNN the threat is related to Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. Everything's Russia. Multiple sources familiar with the intelligence characterized it as very sensitive. Very sensitive, but we can't tell you what it's about. It's a national security threat, but we can't tell you what it is. It's very sensitive, but we can't tell you what. Oh, it's Russia. It's related to Russia. My God. The intelligence confirmed that it is, in fact, a highly concerning and destabilizing Russian capability that we were recently made aware of. But House Speaker Mike Johnson later sought to soothe concerns about the unspecified threat, saying there is no cause for alarm. Oh, really? So we have a national security threat, and it's related to Russia. It's very sensitive, but there's no cause for alarm. Just go shopping, Americans. Just keep your shopping. Go shop. Oh, okay. You're out of money? All right. Sit at your dinner table freaking out about your bills. No cause for alarm. That, well, we may, get nuked? Okay. Oh, I love it. This country sure does. It just keeps you on your edge of your seat, pins and needles. Oof. Johnson said, House Speaker Johnson said, we just want to assure everyone's steady hands are at the wheel. Whose hands? Pelosi's? Biden's? Kamala Harris's? Whose hands? United States has long been concerned about Russian military capabilities and the country's destabilizing influence in Europe and around the world as the war in Ukraine continues, with the prospects of additional U.S. aid being sent to Kiev shaky. If it's shaky, that means that they have to inject Americans with another threat, another threat, another threat. Oh, wow. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan signaled some frustration with Turner. I reached out to see Turner. Turner has gone out publicly. I'm going to go see Turner tomorrow. That's where I want to leave things for today. Upset that Turner came out and said a few words about this but didn't elaborate. Jake Sullivan declined to elaborate on the nature of the threat. He said, "I'm not in a position to say anything further from this podium at this time." So, this is false flag information that gets out to Americans. A false flag is coming. Oh, don't we know it? How about a Wuhan in your backyard? More than 200 dangerous biolabs right here in the U.S. Wuhan biolabs. Bump, 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 bump. Every state has them. Shocking discovery was made recently in California, where an illegal Chinese-owned biolab was discovered. Thousands of vials, some bearing the names HIV, Ebola, were discovered in the illegal lab, along with thousands of test mice. They're in every state. Dangerous labs everywhere. 3 or 4 biolabs in all 50 states. They handle some of the most dangerous pathogens on the planet. It is clear that these legal and illegal biolabs pose a significant threat to the American people, and even more disturbing, we know we can't trust our government to protect us from these labs. So what can be done? Okay, I have the link below because you can find the solution in this article. I'm sure it's easy. And should there be a leak of the dangerous pathogens in your community, you'll be the one who survives it. Gross misconduct, the nail in the coffin for antidepressants. An article by Dr. Mercola. Yeah. Okay. This has been going on for, oh my God, how long? What was it, 87 that Prozac hit the market? All right. I'll just play a few minutes, but if any of you are on antidepressants, the studies are all bullshit. About the serotonin, the chemical imbalance, yada yada. It ain't true.
And Joseph Mercola, who I've had on the show, as reported in the 2023 system. First of all, just so we found out, by the way, I have a feeling this isn't going to be the nail in the coffin for antidepressants. I have a feeling they're going to somehow get around this. So remember this, as reported in 2023, that did a systemic umbrella review of the evidence for the serotonin theory of depression. And this is what the conclusion was. The main areas of serotonin research provide no consistent evidence of there being an association between serotonin and depression, and no support for the hypothesis that depression is caused by lowered serotonin activity or concentration. So the whole basis for serotonin uptake inhibitors, which is what Zoloft is and Prozac, they completely got taken out by the knees, but they're still prescribing the hell out of them.
It does affect the urge to gamble, and also one guy won a lawsuit because he became gay, and that held up in court.
So they do make you more likely to still wear a mask in public, so that's good, right? Anyway, so here I want to tell you about this: the sequence treatment alternatives to relieve depression study published in 2006 was the largest and longest running antidepressant effectiveness trial ever conducted. And importantly, it used real world patients. So the authors claimed an overall cumulative remission rate of 67%. This study has since been used to prop up the idea that antidepressants work in the real world. However, The widely made claim that antidepressants work for nearly 7 in 10 patients in real-world clinical settings is based on a scientific misconduct and fraud. In his reanalysis of the study, psychologist Ed Peugeot and colleagues showed that, had the study protocol been followed, the cumulative remission rate would have been only 35%. Moreover, the STAR-D report omitted the stay well rate. Only 3% of the 4,041 patients who entered the trial and went into remission were still in remission at the end of their 1-year follow-up.
Hey, do you want to...
Okay, they put your sister on Prozac and she tried to kill you. I understand. I completely get it. These psychiatric medications, antidepressants, antipsychotics, and all the other stuff, have so crippled our country. Millions have had the adverse effects that mimic an awful lot of the behavioral characteristics of other mental illnesses in the DSM, and then they just, well, you have another diagnosis. Then they put you on more medication. It is a tragedy, a horrifying tragedy that has destroyed millions of people's lives. But they're still on the market. They give them to the kids, the same dosages that they give to adults, and here we are. Here we are. And no one cared about all of the people getting destroyed from these medications. So it's not a big surprise to see how many people don't care about all of the people getting destroyed from, that product that I think came out in, 2020? And so many people are really hurting in terms of what the hell am I going to do with these skyrocketing rents?
It's been 2 years since Liza Myers moved into her Forest Hills one-bedroom apartment to live near her parents experiencing health complications. But for all its convenience, she says it's getting harder to stay.
I got the new lease, saw that it was being raised $230, and what do you say to that? What do you do?
The rent hike comes despite a vague long-term construction project that is disrupting her quality of life.
I can't afford to move right now.
She says building management has shown little interest in her concerns. JC Dwight Incorporated did not respond to our repeated inquiries.
I feel like I'm going to have no future because how do I save money?
And she's not alone. New research finds that half of tenants nationwide spend nearly a third of their income on rent. And here in Queens, data show median rents up 25% in some neighborhoods last year.
There's actually very little protections for New Yorkers who are living in what we call market rate units.
Advocate Whitney Hu is pushing for state legislation. She says bills including good cause eviction and the Housing Access Voucher Program would help keep rent affordable if passed.
That power really lies within the governor and with the state legislature, and that for the last few years, they have left Albany without any real tenant protections or trying to mitigate this rent increase.
She hopes to see more tenants speaking up, like Liza Myers is doing, to ensure they don't get left behind.
Oh, you're going to get left behind, Liza. I'm sorry to tell you. You will get left behind. You'll get left behind because an awful lot of people won't speak up, and government officials know that. You'll be left behind. North Carolina lawmakers want gas station heroin off the shelves? What? Anybody know about this product that you're about to see?
We're talking about products like this that we found at a store here in Raleigh today. It contains a drug that's not approved in the U.S., can have effects similar to opioids, and has led some people to get addicted. Despite the warnings from the FDA, you can still buy products like this one in some stores in North Carolina. They contain a drug called tianeptine and have become commonly referred to as gas station heroin. A man anonymously shared his experience of becoming addicted to these pills, ending up at the hospital with hallucinations.
Someone's in here, they're going to kill us. I was convinced that this guy in the waiting room had a gun and that he was going to shoot me.
For him, it started with a cashier at a store giving him some pills for free.
At some point, I was taking 150 pills a day.
Tianeptine is used in some countries to treat depression, but it is not approved in the U.S. Some products containing it are marketed as being able to boost your mood, but there can be serious effects.
Its risks are high, its benefits are controversial, and it's currently unregulated in the United States.
The FDA recently sent this letter about a brand called Neptune's Fix, available at gas stations and convenience stores. The agency asked stores to stop selling all products containing tianeptine, but experts told state lawmakers that request has little teeth. We found this bottle at a store in Raleigh on Tuesday. The FDA says at least 12 states have banned these products, but state lawmakers are unsure if that's the right step.
We want to make sure that it doesn't get reformulated and brought back out as some other name.
Representative Stephen Ross says making it a controlled substance could be more effective.
My ultimate hope would be that we get this off the shelves in North.
Well, don't worry. The FDA is busy on those vitamins and supplements, okay? But I have never heard of anything like this. This gas station heroin. All right, man. Wow. Ooh. Here. Land grab. Redmond City Council, 5-1, voted of gifting a Plymouth Housing. It's a multi-million-dollar piece of prime real estate in the downtown core of Seattle, and it's for drug addicts and homeless.
This is the last permanent supportive housing that we're going to bring to Redmond, but it needs a lot more of this. With that, this is a roll call vote starting with Council President Richard. Aye. 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 Aye.
Thank you. Thank you to the community for showing up. Thank you to the staff.
Denver spent a year and a half doing this. You have done it in 3 weeks. That's not right to your statement.
Councilmember, you're the only one who voted against this. How come?
Because it did not offer the city the same consideration that we had in Kenmore. The process took about a week, and it was a surprise.
It seemed like you wanted more time.
I did want more time.
Finally, the fact that the city gave away a property worth nearly $5 million. Thoughts on that? I mean, that's stunning.
That is stunning.
There was no bid.
There's no process for that.
Guys, were you able to comment on why you went with this decision today? Not giving maybe more thought to extending the time?
Yeah, I think I spoke to it during the meeting. Thank you so much.
No comment? Concerned about all the constituent fury out here?
We actually received a lot of comments of support from the public in addition to comments of concern.
What about the hundreds of emails opposing this? Ms. Lee, is this a victory for you guys?
No comment.
No comment?
What this is for, it's for homeless that are probably heavily drug addicted.
There's not enough been revealed about the project and how it will be run.
And they have ramrodded this. And this is really a very sad evening. This was a lack of democracy from people who say that they care about the government. And I frankly don't feel like I'm being represented in my own city.
My question is, are you going to keep putting your kids in that daycare if this project comes in?
Oh, if it comes to me, no, definitely not.
What do you think the end game is for these elected officials who voted for this?
I think they want to turn this into like a downtown Seattle, San Francisco type of environment. I think that's what they want to do. They want to drive out the people who have worked very hard to live in this community, to earn their housing, to live here. And they don't care about those people. People who pay their taxes and pay their salary. They don't care.
And that's right. They don't care. They have an agenda. That's why they walk away when they're asked questions. It's going on all over the country. They don't care. They have the agenda. Your agenda, they don't care about. Alberta woman threatened with jail time for riding horse around town. Happy ending. I wish we could resolve problems just like this problem was resolved.
Settlers began arriving here in the 1870s. Also arriving by horse 150 years later is Shelby Opheim, a proud member of High River's Western heritage.
I love my horses, yes. My auntie was a barrel racer, so I kind of got into it when I was younger. 3 cream, 2 sweetener, and a honey cruller donut for the horse.
She takes Charlie everywhere, even for coffee, to make him comfortable in different environments.
Bomb-proof. I can scream, I can yell. Stuff like this shouldn't scare them. So this makes them safe. When he goes to a home, nobody's getting hurt, and he's not going to go for me.
But about 6 months ago, Shelby and Charlie began running into trouble with the law.
They have pulled me over 6 times in the last 6 months. The last time was Tuesday, and they told me that I was no longer allowed to ride in town. I couldn't have horses here. I could be arrested and put in jail.
Townfolk didn't want any trouble, they said.
My biggest thing was I had concern for her with the traffic, and knowing horses are just animals, and they don't know what traffic is all the time.
So peace officers got legal advice and barred horses from the town. Horse feathers, said Shelby.
Our bylaw says that we can. Our High River page you can actually go on says horses are a mean of transportation. The only issue is they poop.
Tuesday, the mayor felt he had to step right into the middle of it.
Sometimes you got to clean up the mess afterwards, so that's what we're doing.
Turns out Shelby was right. Mayor Snodgrass says things got goofy when peace officers got legal advice without first going to council.
We're the town of High River. We're a small ag-based community. Shelby's more than welcome to ride her horse in through town. You respect the public, you respect the other drivers, you're doing it safely. But the other thing is the drivers in their vehicles need to be doing the exact same thing.
And that was that.
I will continue riding in town as long as I am allowed to.
The two settled things the old-fashioned way with a handshake. Doug Vason, Global News. Didn't want any
smiles on their face, handshake. Bylaws say you can do this, so you can do it. And that woman who's concerned about it's just an animal, well, you know what, lady? We're just animals, and the animals seem to be doing a better job. You know, those 4-leggeds. Not so much with the 2-leggeds. And here, one of the reasons why I show these things is to give people ideas. Those who, what are we supposed to do? You never present any solutions. Well, I have for 13 years. Look what someone did to a 5G tower. Okay. Warning. This is a 5G small cell tower. The signals emitted by this tower are damaging to humans and animals and plants. Damaging exposure can occur up to several hundred feet from this device. Frequencies emitted by this device can be as high as 100 gigahertz and exceed recommended FCC exposure limits. Exposure can cause headaches, insomnia, cognitive fog, fatigue, tinnitus, vision problems, heart issues, flu-like symptoms, muscle and nervous system problems. Yeah. So stick a sticker on things. And oh my God. Okay, so House impeaches Mayorkas. And no, it's not going to go anywhere. Almost 7,000 illegal alien encounters in one day. Tucson sector highest with 2,500. This was just this past Saturday. More are coming in. And they're from Colombia and China and Brazil and Mexico. In December, there were about 18,900 apprehensions of illegals in the Tucson sector in just 1 week's time. It's all very deliberate. It is evident that the invasion is intentional, as the Biden regime willfully allows the border to stay open. They had 3 years to close the border and chose not to. And this guy, House, and it was a very, very close vote. Like, I think it was 214 to 213, with some Republicans opposing. And now it goes to the Senate. The Senate is democratically, forget that word, controlled by the Democrats. It's not going to go anywhere. So, Border Patrol apprehended 3.2 million illegals in fiscal year 2023, 10 million illegal border crossers since Biden installed. I know, I repeat, I don't like repeating, but you gotta, what the hell? We are already in war. I've been saying that for years. We are at war. They use weather as a weapon. They use the electromagnetic frequencies as a weapon against us. They use the food as a weapon against us. Water as a weapon against us. Politics as a weapon against us. The migration issue is a powerful weapon. This war will explode, and it's exploding in parts of the country, but it's going to really explode. This is all so basic and obvious. Yeah. You'd love it if people were concerned about this, but doesn't seem like it. You are at war. Hello, Americans. Okay, take a sip of the drink. I'll get you on the commercial, from the baseball or the football that you're watching. You are at war. California.
Thank you. You? California. India? You? Where you going? Thank you. You? India. Where you going? California. Thank you. You? India. Where you going? California. Thank you. You? India. Where you going? New York. You? India. Where you going? California.
2 minutes, 29 seconds. He goes down the line asking all of these military-aged men. But I didn't know that there was such problems in India, that a whole lot of these Indian men are running away, leaving their families behind, their mothers, their sisters, their daughters, leaving them behind to suffer what they escaped. Please. Couldn't be more obvious. Republicans impeach Mayorkas over the border after failing to last week vote. Yeah, it was 214 to 213. Mayorkas is just the second cabinet secretary in U.S. history to be impeached. First one in nearly 150 years. Since this secretary refuses to do the job that the Senate confirmed him to do, the House must act. President Joe Biden blasted House Republicans immediately after the vote, and Biden said history will not look kindly on House Republicans for their blatant act of unconstitutional partisanship. Unconstitutional? It's one of the constitutional responsibilities of the House. But hey, he's the president. He's got some dementia. Yeah. Unconstitutional partisanship that has targeted an honorable public servant in order to play petty political games. God, talk about repeats. The matter now heads to the Senate, which almost certainly will vote to acquit Mayorkas given that 67 senators would be needed to convict and remove the secretary, whose Democratic Party controls the upper chamber. So it's not going to go anywhere. And would it matter? Would it matter? I mean, you just install the next, puppet. After border bill failure, ICE considers mass releases to close budget gap. What the hell are you doing now, ICE? You're just releasing everybody. Oh, man. Well, I'm going to play some of this. This was brought to my attention by a subscriber in Scotland. They are... It is very interesting, and I hope I didn't cut that part off, but they talk about how, the narrative in the UK is just like the narrative in the United States. Isn't that interesting? But it's all United Nations.
So isn't it a coincidence that both the United Kingdom and the United States have the same kind of problem? Isn't it a coincidence that in the UK, it's widely acknowledged that we have seen a lot of young fighting-age men being brought into this country in the last couple of years, and the same thing seems to be being warned about in the United States as well. Now, if you remember, if you were watching the Genocide and Empire symposium that we held a few weeks ago, Kevin Ryan was talking about this idea of a structural deep event. And one of the things that he said was a common feature that you might recognize a structural deep event is if you start seeing common narratives in different places around the world at the same time. And I just wanted to sort of draw that to everybody's attention. And maybe we can talk a little bit more with Mark on that in extra. Mark, let's bring you onto the program and change topics now onto Agenda 2030.
Interesting timing with what you're saying, gentlemen. We have two reports here from the UN, one very recent to the left, Migration and the 2030 Agenda, a guide for practitioners from the Office of Migration of the UN. And the Swiss government has its stamp of approval on that because it was put together in Geneva. The other is all the way from the year 2000, an older report to the right, Replacement Migration. Is it a solution to declining and aging populations? This is the double barrels, gentlemen, of what's going on and why it's happening. You talk about commonalities in the UK and the US, military-age men coming across the border in large numbers. Well, the common framework under which that happens, by all accounts, is coming from the United Nations and is more or less on autopilot. So whatever national governments do, whatever they argue in Congress or Parliament, seems to be spitwads hitting the side of a battleship, if you will. And the UN's philosophy and policies go largely unnoticed, and if they're noticed, largely unchallenged. But we have a little bit that explains this. This is from the Migration and 2030 Agenda. Just to get the core quotes out of this, the 2030 Agenda recognizes migration as a core development consideration, which marks the first time migration is integrated explicitly into the global development agenda. Listen to that. The agenda is relevant to all mobile populations, all, regardless of whether internal or cross-border, displaced or not. Goals and targets will be met for all nations and peoples and all segments of society. It recognizes migrant men, women, and children as a vulnerable group to be protected and as agents of development. All types of migration should also be considered, including displacement. It gets better. Let's move on from there. This is additionally from the one to the left, Migration on the 2030 Agenda, page 13. The last one was page 13 as well. The central reference to migration is made in target 10.7 under the goal. That's one of the 17 strategic development goals of Agenda 2030, 10.7. And that is reduce inequality in and among countries, calling to facilitate orderly, safe, and regular and responsible migration and mobility of people, including through the implementation of planned and well-managed migration policies. And we'll keep explaining it there. So migration fits into the strategic development goals. It's an integral thing. And this is kind of the capstone of this. This is right out of the report. The applicability of all sustainable development goal targets to all countries underlines how each has a role to play in migration and provides a framework for progress toward more effective international governance of migration that is based on global partnerships. There's nothing about national sovereignty ever even recognized here. This moves beyond the notion of classifying countries as origin, transit, or destination and assigning migration roles and responsibilities to them accordingly, and instead proposes that all countries must, I added the emphasis, must engage in migration governance together, page 14. So they're basically saying it doesn't matter where a migrant comes from, doesn't matter where they might be going. People simply have to be untethered and allowed to roam wherever they want, wherever they want. And there's really no real direct or cogent role for national governments to play. They simply need to be part of the global partnership and cooperate under the UN philosophy. So you can see what this does. It basically paralyzes nations from intervening, and therefore they kind of lay back, and the UN policies just kind of keep the wheel turning. So you have what's going on in Britain and what's going on in the United States. Now we have another item of interest. This is sort of icing on the cake. This is the website of the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. And this is brought up as an aside. This is their 2020 report. And we'll move on to the next slide from there that fully explains the relevance here. As recent as 2020, the current director of the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Ali Mayorkas, was a member of the board of directors. And of course, right around that time, as the year 2021 came around and the Biden administration was seated, he became U.S. Department of Homeland Security Secretary. And this has been cited in some quarters as a massive conflict of interest. Now, he did evidently pull back from being on the board once he became Homeland Security Secretary. But under Obama, he was Deputy Homeland Security Secretary, plus he had one other immigrant-related position. And when you read the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society's philosophy and paper that I showed, and when you hear Mayorkas talk, there's nothing in his vernacular about defending the border, about defending the United States and ensuring its safety, even though he was a former U.S. district attorney, which is a federal prosecutor. Everything he talks about, because of his Jewish background, his father was Cuban Jew, and I believe it was the mother Romanian Jew, and he came through Cuba, and he's an immigrant. He makes a big deal of that. But everything he talks about, guys, is the plight of the immigrant, the plight of the migrant, and virtually nothing about his job. 200,000 employees under him at the DHS, and that is to defend and secure the United States border. And so, along with the UN policies, you have someone like that in charge in the US who sees immigration through the lens of his own background and his own upbringing, and that kind of negates the whole idea of defending the border and being serious about it. So this is what we're looking.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with, his upbringing or whatever. I think it has to do with the fact that he is part of the takedown of our country. And, there's an awful lot of immigrants in our country who don't have his psyche, and it's a psychopathic, it's me. I'm going to do this. I pad my pockets, and yeah, I'm an evil shithead who is going to destroy this country. that guy can still be saying that the border is secure when it's completely open. Sure would like Americans to begin to activate some cell in their brain, something. And isn't it interesting that the UK and the US, now there might have been more news segments about those in the UK opening their homes to migrants, but I now have seen 2 news shows on 2 different families, both in Massachusetts, opening their homes to migrants. Here, this is the UK. It's like there's no difference except, that ocean in between our countries.
So this letter was from the council, and you got this on the 12th of January. You moved in November, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you got this letter, and just spell out what this letter says.
That letter says that because the property is derelict, that they can compulsory purchase it. If there's any repairs to be done in it, they could take it off the price of the property.
Yeah.
And these properties are for migrants.
It's
what they want these houses for.
Extraordinary, isn't it? And how did you feel when you got a letter? You moved into your new wonderful home, you settle down, law-abiding citizens, and you get a compulsory purchase order from the council accusing you of occupying a derelict home. How did you feel when you got this?
I have to pay $200,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. UK homeowners to house illegal migrants. In Britain, homeowners are receiving compulsory purchase orders. Okay, I got this wrong. I apologize. Compulsory? So their homes can be redistributed to migrants. In America, they're asking to open their doors. I apologize for getting this wrong. Let's continue to listen.
Brett, we didn't feel very well.
No. It must have been one hell of a shock, mustn't it?
It was an awful shock. And when I got that, I felt sick. And when we went down to the council the day we got that letter after we read it. And the lady in there, she said, don't worry about it. It's just a standard letter.
We have been so hollowed out as a nation. We've turned our backs entirely on the territorial integrity of this country to the point where it's become standard to repossess houses.
But why is this always that it's for the immigrant and not the indigenous population?
Yeah. Well, veterans are sleeping rough.
Yeah.
16,000 veterans.
Terrible weather.
Absolutely.
They can't get put in hotels or on a bibby stock home.
There is a daylight centre charity in Wellingborough, which looks after homeless people who are sleeping rough. And they spend £630 per annum per head. Illegal migrants get paid £50,000. They get spent on them £50,000 per annum per head. And here we have the evidence of it in this letter. They wanted your lovely new home.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All right, Brits. Have you heard of anyone else getting these letters? Taking their homes? Oh boy. The new normal in UK and Europe.
Okay, move back. Okay, move back.
The machete. The machete was the weapon of choice in the UK, but now it seems to also be appearing in the United States. This man in Britain attempted to rape 2 13-year-olds. There's an awful lot of citizens in Ireland, in Britain, that are going after the migrants who are sexually assaulting, especially the children.
How old did she say? In this file, see this file? Yeah? Ishmael, you see this file? Yeah? Every message you've sent from the first message to the last message is in this file. So you tell the truth. Right, Allah won't help you. How old did this child say she was, Ishmael? How old did this child say she was?
I really want to turn that
How old? What does that say there? Look at this. Look at this. What does that say there? How old does that child say she is?
I don't know what to do again.
You don't know what to do again?
Committed. Please, arrest me. Please.
You will be arrested. The police are going to. The police will turn up. The police have been called. Don't beg me. Begging me is going to get you nowhere. All right.
I'm not running away, because I'm not running away.
What were your plans for this child today?
I just want to see the person. I just want to see.
Remember I told you about all the messages I've got here, from the first message you sent to the last message you sent, okay?
Please.
Yeah?
Please.
With a child, okay?
Right.
Listen, crying ain't going to do you no good, all right? I want you...
Hey.
3 children we know that you're speaking to.
That's a 13-year-old as well. You've been a busy boy, haven't you?
How many more?
Eh? Yes.
I'm not done anything to anybody. I've not done anything to anybody.
What country are you from?
Uganda.
Ghana.
Ghana,
You from
yeah.
Ghana? 3 children you're speaking to. Is there any more?
2 14-year-olds and 1 13-year-old.
So we're going younger.
Mm-hmm.
What age do you like, Ishmael? What age excites you? What age do you get off on?
13 and 14-year-olds, isn't it? They float your boat, don't they? Don't they? They're not letting go. No, they're not letting go of you. They're not letting. Listen. Excuse me, I'm talking to you.
This lady is talking.
They're
to
not
you.
letting go of you. Do you understand?
You don't like it when a lady talks to you like that, do you?
No, don't like a powerful woman, do you?
Have you noticed she can't look you in the eyes?
No. Why can't you look at me? Why can't you look at me? Eh? Why can't you look at me? Do you know the damage you do to these children when you're talking to them in the way that you do? Huh?
Why did you arrange to meet her then?
Why did you ask her for pictures just in her pants? And you was going to buy her a new phone so as they were better pictures.
Oh, so you've asked for indecent images of a child as well?
Yes. You've turned up here today to destroy an innocent child's life. You've turned up here today to destroy an innocent family. Because it's not just the child's life that you destroy, it's the family's life as well.
I'm not here.
What are you here for then? So tell me, what are you here for then?
I'm here to see a friend.
Right, can you look at me when I'm talking to
I'm
you?
here to see a friend.
How old's your friend?
My friend. I'm here to see a friend.
How old is your friend? You can't say it, can you?
Do you think it's normal of a man your age to have a friend of 14? Do you think that's normal behaviour? Do you think that is correct behaviour? Well, guess what? No, it ain't.
You've travelled 5 hours to see your 14-year-old friend, haven't you? This innocent little girl. Why weren't you here at 12 like you said you were going to be?
You got lost.
Huh? You got lost, didn't you?
Been all over the country, haven't you? You're 20 minutes up the road and you've had to show your
But
passport.
the most frightening thing is that you still made sure you got here though, didn't you? Yep. Eh? You could have turned round God knows how many times, but you didn't, did you? You still got here, begging the child to stay here. I'm coming, please don't go, I'm coming. I'll be there in half an hour. Oh, I'll be there in another half an hour.
Got on the wrong train again, I'll be an hour.
Begged the child to stay because you were so desperate to get your grubby little hands all over her, weren't you? You dirty man.
Good. Good on them. Much respect. I mean, this is... Okay, so this guy comes into Italy and the entitlement of some of these migrants is quite shocking. He won't get off the train, but he also won't buy a ticket.
Tu non ce l'hai la maletta tu devi stare qua non mi frega un cazzo non fai niente dai fammi vedere dai veloce fammi vedere non ce l'ho non ce l'hai scendi da devi scendere fallo fa così per me fa mi dispiace io fai quality voi ascolta lascia io scendi dal primo ascolta io te lo dico la prossima altre 3 volte il topic è resistenza ti arrestano ok? Ma scendi dai scendi Che tu non capisci io, perché io voglio uscire? Gli altri pagano. Senza rispetto, tu fai così, ce n'hai i soldi.
Ce l'hai il biglietto tu?
Oh,
And of course, you hold up everybody else. Ah, it's lovely. Houthi-USA clash. Iran's key gas pipeline hit by blast? Oh, that doesn't look very good. Terror attack, says Tehran. Oh boy, what are we going to be facing? What is this?
נפלה ממש לידינו פה. 300 מטר מאיתנו, נפילה.
Israel launches extensive wave of retaliatory strikes on Lebanon. Lebanon, Gaza. Injured Israelis transferred to the hospital north of Haifa due to the recent rocket barrage from southern Lebanon. Isn't war pathetically stupid? Isn't it? 2024. And this is what we're still doing? Really? Israel just blew up a United Nations Relief Workers Agency building in Gaza. Israel does know there's an awful lot of evidence in that building. 2024. Human race just couldn't get it together. The Lebanese civil defense says the casualties of the Israeli strikes on several civilian areas across southern Lebanon rose to 4 victims, including a mother and 2 children, and 11 injuries. War expands. How are you not enraged? Hello, Americans. Americans. Wow. Yeah.
Remember when the state of Israel said they were going to create an evacuation plan to evacuate the 1.7 million Palestinians who had been pushed into Rafah, the southernmost point of the Gaza Strip, because Israel has completely flattened and destroyed and bombed everything in the entire rest of Gaza? Well, there is no evacuation plan because last night during the Super Bowl, they started bombing Rafah. They are dropping bombs all over 1.7 million people who have no protection and no shelter. 1.7 million people who are living in tents in deplorable conditions with no food and no water and no medicine. They have nowhere to go. No one is coming to save them. Israel is killing everyone. They are killing with abandon. They have already killed 35,000 people, and this is when they were not cramped into a ghetto in the most densely populated place on earth, and now they are dropping bombs on that place. And all the while everyone's watching the Super Bowl and the state of Israel is paying $7 million for a 30-second propaganda ad to try to convince you that they're the fucking victim.
It is true. And again, I always feel like I have to say, no, it's not every Israeli. No, it is not every Jew. So many are against what is happening, and they are experiencing the consequences of being against their tyrannical Zionist government. And again, I'm going to play this because I just love it when she says, how can you say that with a straight face?
Israel has the capacity. When special rapporteurs have used the word genocide, there is a risk of genocide. We have looked not only at the genocidal intent, but based on previous practice. The reality on the ground is that there is a risk of genocide being committed by Israel and also the capacity to do that.
When you say they have, if they wanted to, it would probably be done, to be blunt about it. Yes, it's a dire situation for civilians, but Israel did say, civilians, please leave, this is where we're targeting. So that wasn't them actually targeting civilians at that point.
As my friend Daniel Levy told the BBC journalist, and I beg your pardon, I don't mean to be rude, but can you really keep a straight face as you ask me this question? I will answer the question. Okay. There is nowhere to go.
You have trapped civilians, elderly, middle-aged, children. A whole lot are children. They're trapped in a very small, dense area. That's like Israel has started a war with a fishbowl. And hours after appearing on a live interview, last night, Israeli occupation forces killed political analyst Dr. Ayman Rafadi in a targeted airstrike this morning in Gaza. The doctors, professionals, journalists, children, no one is spared. And then you have this disgusting psychopath, former CIA director and current genocide supporter, Mike Pompeo, says he can't imagine that the IDF is behaving in a way that would be over the top, and is confident they're doing this in a way that is methodical. Really? I guess you're just not on Twitter.
We heard Joe Biden say that Israel's conduct of its response in Gaza was, quote, over the top. What did you think when you heard that? What was your reaction when you first heard that or saw that on the television?
Well, two thoughts. I know the warriors of the IDF. I can't imagine that they're behaving in a way that would be, quote, over the top, end of quote. I am confident they're doing this in a way that is methodical and providing for their own security. My second thought is we have to be really careful when we use language like that, because it gives encouragement to the Iranians, encouragement to Hamas, saying, maybe we can just hang in there just a little bit longer and continue to fight this fight. And we should never give anything that provides any aid or any comfort to these evil men.
We heard Joe Biden say that Israel's conduct of its response in Gaza.
Mike Pompeo dancing with the IDF.
I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses. It reminds you of the glory of the American experiment. I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses. It reminds you of the glory of the American experiment.
Lying, cheating, stealing. It reminds him of the glory of the American experiment. And everybody laughs. Lying, cheating, stealing. They applaud and they laugh. That is our country. And this, I listen and I don't, there are no words. There are just no words that can describe how psychopathic are our quote-unquote leaders and those who want to be, the leader wannabe.
They should be going through the Rafah Gate and Egypt take them. But I've always said that, what you should have is they should go to pro-Hamas countries. Qatar, Iran, if you send them there, Turkey, those are pro-Hamas countries. That's where they should go. But they're on the run for their lives, taking whatever they can, their kids in tow. They're not able to get into Egypt. How are you supposed to even make it to Qatar at this point? Isn't that telling that Egypt won't take them? Why won't Egypt take them?
You want to know why? Because Egypt understands Israel's strategy. Get them all into Egypt so that all of the Palestinians no longer have the land that is theirs. That's why Egypt won't take them. And then, it's like the suddenness of 2.2 million people. People don't trust you, Nikki. They don't trust you. Oh, God. Very, very difficult to live this. It is sickening. It is disgusting. This woman should be shamed into the ground. That she should feel... well, I guess I shouldn't go out because I'm just going to get eggs thrown at me. She's disgusting. Yeah. Do you think these Palestinian children are going to love Jews after what they have been through? Those who survive. Is this the way to create a peaceful environment between Jews and Palestinians? Between Israelis and Palestinians? No.
A young girl who has been silent raises her hand and says she has something she wants to say.
احنا بدناش نعمل سلام مع اليهود لانه اليهود هم خلوا امي وابوي يستشهدوا قطعوا قلبي لما شفت امي وابويا قاعدين بيستشهدوا قدامي وامي راح نص راسها وابويا راسه طلع عقله من راسه وتصاب بخصرته وتصاب برجله بعد هيك كله اخويا صلاح قال يلا امشي نطلع برا انا تمتني حاسه حالي لقيت بقفص لانه انا امي وابويا مش عندي
Anyone who has any kind of sanity within them would understand that all of what you are seeing and what the Palestinians have been living even longer than 75 years is only going to produce more, Hamas soldiers it's only going to produce more resentment, more anger. But this is the solution? Really? Oh, man. I'll link below to this. Our economies are going down. Our economies are going down. And all of this, you know, when you do go on Twitter, and you will see there are so many protests going on. The farmers, certainly in Europe, now in India, all of the protests that are continuing around the world over this Israeli-Palestinian, the Palestinian slaughter by Israelis. All of these migrants coming in. Yeah, a false flag is definitely coming. And I think it's coming a lot sooner. So all of the evil psychopaths are probably talking about, well, we have a problem because more and more people are waking up, so we're going to throw in a false flag. What is the false flag? The activation of sleeper cells in Western countries? Is it going to be, you know, war with Russia? Is it going to be an expansion of the wars that are already warring? But all of us are going to feel it. It's not going to be good. Is it going to be, let's just pull the plug on the economy? People will see an awful lot of chaos just from that. Then we'll declare martial law. Unfortunately, they have all of the tools at their disposal. I frankly don't think that they're too worried about Americans, because we don't seem to be doing much of anything here. So, let's just watch this and cool off a little.
We're doing it. We're doing it. No. You're the lady, okay? So you need to behave. This is romantic, isn't it? Right, so I'm going to grab this piece. I'm going to grab this piece. You're laying on the tramp and you meet in the middle. Stop, you're a lady. Stop, you're a lady, yeah. You take this. Wait. Look, stop it now. Stop, no, stop, cut. No, you're eating too much, stop it. Cut, you ruined the whole date. You ruined the whole bloody date, stop. You're the worst date ever, some lady you are.
Oh my God. We're in trouble. Well, I couldn't sleep last night, so I'm going to end this a little bit sooner than normal. I do hope that you're prepared. Yeah, Greg Manarino said a false flag could be coming as soon as this coming weekend. For all of you who you don't have the resources to prepare, you might be alone, I'm very sorry that you're in that position, because it's not a good position to be in. I know it well. And for all of you who do have some resources, I sure hope that you are establishing yourself as a trustworthy human being in your community, with your family and your friends and your community members, your neighbors, and you're helping people who are in need of help. Yeah. Live honestly and speak honestly. And keep that awareness going. If you don't have that as a automatic, I don't want to say habitual, but you haven't hardwired that awareness, then you haven't been practicing it. I suggest you do. So, yeah. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you for showing up. I hope to see you tomorrow. And good night and good luck. Ciao.